Today, we are talking about a topic in jazz piano that is near and dear to me because it is simply one of the biggest transformative things I've done in my jazz journey. Like, truly, I'm not just saying that, but one of those things that got me to gigging level in such a short period of time. And it's also something that I don't think is talked about nearly enough, maybe because it just doesn't seem very sexy. Even though it is, though, it's one of the sexiest things. And it is something that all solo pianists, or even if you play with ensembles, all pianists, all jazz pianists, you have to know this. It's part of the language, but it needs to be talked about a little bit more, I think. So that's why I want to talk about it today. And this thing is spread voicings. Now, different players might have different names for this, but what I'm referring to when I say spread voicings are voicings which are dependent on the melody note. For example, if I have a G major seventh chord and the melody is, let's say, the ninth, then I might voice it like this. Okay? If I was more of a beginner, I might do this. Just a one note difference, right? So what if I have a C minor chord and the melody is, let's say, the fifth? Then I might do this. Okay? And so you can probably already imagine how many different combinations there are of the scale degree of the melody over the chord quality, right? So that's why I came up with my own system to learn this. And it, once again, completely changed my playing and that of my students. But let's head over here and check it out. If you don't recognize this, this is my jazz morphology matrix. And if you haven't watched my video on that, I'll link it below, but you got to check that out. Let's zoom in here to spread voicings right here under Novu Jazz Academy. That's my online jazz piano school where I have a bunch of courses, and I also have my very own system in approaching spread voicings broken down into 3 tiers because there's a lot, okay? There's a whole lot to learn when it comes to spread voicings. So you have to learn it simplified first. There's like no other way. It's just like doing any activity, any skill, any sport. You can't just jump in at level 100, okay? And if you can, then you won't last long, okay? Here's another example for you. Like if you take a really complex voicing, you could probably play the notes and memorize that one voicing, but is it really gonna stick with you? And will you be able to apply it in many situations, like in jazz standards? And are you able to memorize hundreds of those? No, you can't. It doesn't work that way. Okay. Instead, we got to focus on high volume of standards with simplified tools, simplified spread voicings. And that's what these functional voicings are for. So these functional spread voicings, and we'll look at some examples, okay? So don't you worry. So these functional spread voicings don't contain any extensions. They only contain the 4 notes of the 7th chord. That's really it. And you might be thinking, well, this is probably going to sound really basic and boring. I think it actually sounds pretty damn good for just being at the functional level. And that's because of other factors besides the voicing, such as the chord progression of the song and also the melody of the song that connects the chord progression. So you can have basic voicings and those other elements, everything together is going to make it sound good. So let's check out some examples here. Misty. We all know and love Misty, right? So I'm going to use these functional voicings, no extensions, and it's going to sound something like this. Oh, by the way, I might break up the voicing by doing arpeggios and different textures, but I'm not going to be adding notes, okay? So instead of doing this for E flat major 7, I might do this. Okay? Now let's listen. So if the melody is an extension, then of course, the voicing has an extension in it, but I'm not adding extensions, okay? Like here, the melody's the 9. But look, everything else below that, the A flat minor 7, it's just the 4 notes of the 7th chord. And there you have it. I think it sounds great for being the lowest tier, okay? Just the functional level. And these functional voicings might not be what jazz musicians are playing, but that doesn't matter. If you're getting started, you need a way to get your foot in the door, and this is how you do it. All right? Let's move on. Let's try this in another song. The Nearness of You. Beautiful, beautiful tune here. Same thing. Let's look at these just functional voicings so you can hear what it sounds like. And now we're back at the top. Like, I don't know about you, but that's so beautiful, especially for just being functional level voicings. And so your goal should be to learn a bunch of tunes this way, using the functional voicings. And in Novu Jazz Academy, I break down the exact system of how you create these voicings, all right? How you spread the notes of that 7th chord to get this kind of sound. Another thing I want to mention is the spread voicings are so important because when you're playing solo piano, you yourself are an orchestra. You're the whole band. And so what we're essentially doing is we're orchestrating, right? Like a good symphony piece has all the parts are, all the frequencies, right? The whole frequency spectrum, it's going to be filled out evenly with different instruments. So you have the instruments that play the low frequencies, you know, the middle, the high-ish, the very high, all that, all balance out to create that harmonious, beautiful sound that we all love and can relate to as humans. And so when we're playing solo piano, we have the job of doing that, all of that on our own. And so these spread voicings is how you do it. Because otherwise, you don't want to play F major like this, F major 7. Absolutely not. Hell no. What about here? This is actually okay. But if this is all you know, you're in trouble. You know, what if your melody note is, let's say, this 9th here? If this is the only way you know how to play F major 7th, you know, you're screwed, okay? You need to know how to spread it even at the functional level, which would just be this. Look, I have 1, 5, 7, 3, 7, and then that 9. And it's beautiful versus, that's fine, okay? But this, no, because this doesn't give you bass. So if you want bass, then you have to break it up. But anyways, let's listen to some examples of the authentic level. So now these will be the voicings that jazz musicians will actually use, okay? The reason we don't start here is because there's quite a learning curve to it. They're not easy to get started with. There's too much to memorize. You don't learn calculus first, and then you don't learn algebra while you're learning calculus. You gotta learn algebra first, and then you go to geometry, then algebra 2, then pre-cal, whatever, okay? This is the same idea, because if you jump straight to authentic, you will be forced to learn some functional things along the road. And it just makes for a messy journey. We don't want that. But let's look at these authentic voicings now. There's 3 things to keep in mind. At this level, the way I like to break it down in my system is we start to introduce chordal voicings. We start maxing out on extensions, non-altered extensions though, okay? So no sharp or flat anythings. And then we start moving the 3rd to the left hand in certain ranges. Because I don't know if you noticed, but at the functional level, the left hand doesn't play any thirds. It's just this 1-5-7 the whole way, like 1-5-7. Or for C minor, that'd be 1-5-7, third. But at this authentic level, we could move the third to the left hand, and you could get something like this. All right, or like C major. Beautiful sounds, right? Compare that to the functional level, where the melody is the major seventh. Versus, okay. I wanted to say the chordal voicings. When it comes to chordal voicings, I think the way they've been looked at in the past however many years, I don't think they've been looked at the right way. Or I should say there's a better way. Chordal voicings are really just a result of an optimal spread. It's really it. There were days and months that I tried to drill in all these different chordal voicings. But when I just focused more on spread voicings in general, I realized that chordal voicings just result from a really optimal, efficient spread. And I started developing my chordal voicing by not even working on chordal voicings, but by just working on spread voicings. And I realized the chordal voicings, sometimes it's just the best way to spread out the notes, and it ends up happening. Okay? So for example, like B flat 6-9. Okay. Classic jazz sound. When you have the root note as the melody for a major chord, you gotta use this voicing. This is the one, okay? So up here, we have this pure chordal, all fourths, right? Fourth, 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 fourth. But I'm not trying to do that. There's just no other way to break this up, to spread this optimally. This is the only one, okay? And we've seen that throughout history. But again, why don't we look at some examples, okay? So, authentic voicings, let's check some things out. Let's start back on Misty. Okay, so a couple things are going to be happening. It's going to be quite a lot. That's why I have entire courses for just each tier, okay? But let's see here. You can add a 9 to this voicing now, right? It's really nice. Grab it both with your thumb. Here, I'm going to be playing. But now, listen to that spread. Oh, so nice. See, I put the third in the left hand now instead of putting it in the right hand like that. Third in the left hand. That way I can also add a 9. And now it's all spread out so nice. And here's another kind of rule for you. So when you have a 13th chord, like a 13th in your dominant chords, or 6th, you don't play 5, okay? So get rid of that 5. That's why I don't have a 5 anymore. You just add a 9 to this, right? Okay, I said no altered extensions, but I have a sharp 11 in here. That's another part of the authentic voicings, is that you have to learn about a harmonic function, okay? That's part of what's gonna make it authentic. This D flat 7 is a backdoor dominant to E flat. Backdoor dominants, traditionally, they want to be Lydian dominant, okay? That means we'll have a sharp 11 in here, and a 9, and a 13. All 3 of those, if possible. You can add a 6 to that major chord. Here, you add a 9 to this C minor, yeah? Or you can even do this. Minor 11. Another minor 11 here. See? I got the 11 right there. Here, I'm holding down that 9, right? So it could be part of my B flat 7. G minor, plain, just plain. And look, the notes of this G minor triad are also part of C. Oh, we get out a 13th of this, like. Now, I'm going to confuse you even more. Before I said you can't have a 5th if you have a 13th. But if the 5th is above the 13th, that's okay. Like that, okay? Now that's a story for another day, okay? Now we got our F minor. We could do F minor 11. Again, beautiful. And here, B flat 7. See, thirds in the left hand. That way I could get a 9 in here. If this seems like a lot, it's because it is, unless you're prepared for it. You have to have played with the functional spread voicings so many tunes, at least like 10, bare minimum. And that might not be enough, but you'll know if you're ready for it, okay? Let's get back over here, and there you go. But let's check out the same thing in the nearness of you so you can hear the difference in this song, okay? Oh, and look, check this out. Oh! Now look what I did there. I delayed the voicing. I didn't play it on beat 1. Who says you have to play it on beat 1? You should be doing that when you're starting out the functional. But at this level, you have to be a little bit more creative, delay the voicings, place it in different places, do different textures, that kind of thing, okay? So I did. Look at this. We got this full quarto going on down here, or up here. 4th, 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 4th. That gives me F major 13. And then I just got a root and 5th at the bottom. You honestly don't need the 5th. That's enough, but I like the 5th. Okay, it's very grounding. Got that 5th right there. Okay. Anyways. Oh. Here, adding a 9, right? That's lovely. Look at this. We got a 3rd in the left hand. We got our 6, our 7, and our 9 here. This one's really cool because look, if I take the 7th out, we have this chordal. It's really nice. If the melody was the 7, you could just do this voicing. Beautiful. But it's the 5th, but we want a 7 in our major chord. So the only place we could put it is here. We don't want it above the melody. Even better if we do this. Oh, listen to that. We'll keep that. That's A minor. Not much to do here. What am I doing? Right, 3rd in the left hand, and we could put a 9 here. Our D7, let's just do this. Nice and simple, right? You could also do maybe, yeah, put a 5th up here, right? Or you could do the 5th down there. Here, this is the Kenny Barron voicing. Actually, this is the Kenny Barron right here. Then I'm just doubling the 9th. If you don't know Kenny Barron, look it up. It's everywhere on YouTube. I also have a video on it. Yeah, the minor 11th video. I'll link that down below. Okay. And then now we could do this. C 13th, right? Got a 3rd in the left hand. 9 here. 13 there. Let's do this voicing again. Ah, beautiful. But anyways, you can already hear it's a much richer type sound, more authentic to that true jazz sound. Okay, now why don't we move on before this video becomes an hour long to the pro level. Actually, I should call this pro authentic because it's still authentic. Oh no, my box is too small now. Now they're uneven. I gotta make them even. Oh, there we go. This needs to be centered. Yeah, okay. Center these. Oh my goodness, what's wrong with me? Okay, pro authentic. Here we focus on altered extensions. There's so many possibilities. And also considering the range of the piano, right? Not everything that works here is gonna work here or there. So altered extensions, pretty much dominant chords, all right? So this is a big study in the dominant chords. Let's actually start with Everything Happens to Me, because sometimes you're gonna get altered notes in the melody. Not sometimes, most of the time actually, okay? But let's check this thing out. Lovely, lovely tune. So let's see. Right, C minor 7. Got the 9 up here. It's in the melody. Now, we have so many options. You can also do this. Ooh, minor 11, baby. Look at this big old F7. Look, we got our fourths. Fourth. Or this is a tritone. You could think of it as an augmented fourth, I guess. Okay. But look, we could also do this to it. Flat that 9, okay? Let's hear it in context. Let's do this one. All right. D minor with an 11, D minor 11. Just keep that diminished playing. Look, we could do another one of these here. Minor 11. So that flat 9 again with the F7. Flat 13, all right, on this G7. But I mean, the options here, you could go. All right, sharp 11, flat 9. So many of these, or you could just do straight. 13th, flat 9. Let's move on. Kenny Barron. Right here, we have this flat 9 in the melody. Also have this 13th in there. So it's a A flat 13th, flat 9. So did a little inner movement there, a mini one, a baby one. So we have this G 7 with a 9 and a flat 13. You could also do just regular 13 and then move it to the flat 13. Okay. Minor 11. This again, this F7 with the flat 9. We could also do F like 7 or F13 flat 9. We could also do F flat 13 and flat 9. A little spicier. Oh yeah, remember this voicing? This was just from nearness of you, right? The melody was the 5th, right? Okay, let's keep going. We just stopped here, so we're now this G7, okay? G7. Melody's the F. You could just do flat 9. Or the sharp 11 and flat 9. But let's move to the B section. Okay, let's start right here in this F minor, okay? Because there's a lot of altered melody notes. Oh yeah, sharp 9 in the melody, okay? You could do it like this. You could do it like this. All right? You could even just use the root note. You know, you might be wondering, you're doubling the root note in your voicing? Yes. In this situation, you could think of it as creating a triad, like this G-flat triad sound, okay? So the whole idea of not doubling has gotten out of hand. Everybody doubles. And this is a great time to double. You get that triad sound. Oh, listen to that. Look, fourths, okay? I'm not trying to do a fourth voicing. It's just the most optimal spread here. You could double the 5th. Get more of that grounded E flat. Oh, okay. This is C7 with the sharp 11 and the flat 9. Melody's the 7 right there, right? And Kenny Barron. We got this guy again. B flat, 7. We have a flat 9 right here. You can also do this. Sharp 9, but that means we need a 3rd here. Or you can do it here. That's an interesting sound. Yeah. Or just move it down here again. Kenny Barron, right? A7, we got this flat 13, the sharp 9 in the melody, right? Okay. Look at that. Take out that 7th of the D, and look, we got this chordal thing. Now, this is the 5th, right, of the D. When we're on E flat, though, I did it like this. I put the 7 here. Because when we're on D, if you put the 7 down there, it gets way too muddy. We start to lose the clarity of that chord. So I move that 7 to the right hand. But when you progress properly with all this, you're not thinking about those things at this stage. No way. You have to know those things already. So that way you only focus on these altered extensions on the dominant chords. D major 7 again. Let's do minor 11 here for G minor. Let's do suspended here for the C. And then C7, flat 9, sharp 11. And then just good old C minor. F7, just flat 9 again. The melody is the 5th. Goes back to the beginning, right? So we could do this minor 11. Minor 11. Okay, it's just kind of this augmented sound here. F7 with the flat 13. Got a root note right here. Let's do this sharp 11. And there, look at that. It's the B flat with the root notes, the melody. This is the voicing. This is the one. Do not do this. Don't do a major 7th. The melody is the root note. We do not do this. Okay? But once again, that's a video for another day. If you made it to the end, I really appreciate you hanging out, listening to me ramble about this lovely, amazing, just game-changing topic if you really apply it and take the time to get it into your fingers. Your solo piano playing is going to be so nice, but also your ensemble playing. Because when you know how to orchestrate like this and think about organizing the notes and how to spread them out, that applies to ensemble playing as well. You know, so it's not, the benefits carry over is what I'm saying. Okay, so if you like this kind of content, be sure to follow my channel for more like this. And if you want to learn my exact systems and how I break down everything you're seeing here, if you want all of that broken into step-by-step so you can actually learn it efficiently and effectively, then consider joining Novu